Good morning, Chris.
How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Saturday begins here. The weekend begins here. And boy, do we have a show for you today, do we not, Chris?
We certainly do.
We certainly do. So how are you, Chris? How's your week been?
It's been good, yeah. I've had a bit of a rest this week, so it's been a nice week, really. Yourself?
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go straight into the intro today, and today we have the wonderful Stephen Rowlands. Now, I'm reading off my auto cue. Here we go. This week, Stephen Rowlands will be joining us to share his journey of trance mediumship. For those who are not familiar with trance mediumship, it is often seen as a form of mental mediumship, where the medium has to allow his ego or her ego to step aside for the message to be delivered. Stephen will be sharing with us his unique introduction, and it is unique, today, and how he became a trance medium and a trance healer and his journey. We've been fortunate, Chris, haven't we? We had a little informal discussion with Stephen the other day, so we're really excited, aren't we?
We are, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Interesting trance. I'm interested in it, and I'm sure the people watching that's joined us this morning will be interested in it as well. It's a completely different way of working, isn't it? So
it is absolutely.
It's intriguing to know how he got into it, because it can be quite daunting, can it? I suppose. Trance to others, and
I mean, when you watch a trance medium or a channeler, you think, oh my god, I mean, it's like the mind comes in and you try to, and you can't understand it. And especially today, Stephen will explain to us, because as the intro said, for someone to go into trance or to channel, the ego has to get out of the way. Now, aren't we all under the umbrella of spirituality trying to move the ego, not get rid of the ego, because the ego is our friend? That to me is the exciting part of the discussion. How does that happen? I mean, it's amazing how one personality of the identity of the person being the channel can move to one side to allow the higher being to come through. And I think that is the key word, higher being. It's not as in mediumship with the spirit, whether it's a grandmother or, a loved one. This is a higher dimensional being coming through with words of wisdom or whatever they need to say.
Yeah.
Sorry?
The knowledge and the wisdom, that's what they bring forth, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting how they deal with the energies, Gloria, because it's a totally different energy shift.
Absolutely.
Go through,
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have been doing my research, as I have to do every week and around the world, and I'm not surprised. There are thousands of channelers, trance mediums. It's something that's way out there. Maybe not so much in the UK, but in the Americas and Europe, but definitely in America, it's really out there and it's accepted. That might be a discussion today. You know, the UK people, do we still see it as taboo from way back in the day? Are we still under that sort of dogma? It's a taboo subject. Today, in Open Minds, we're going to open that one up, are we not, Chris? So if you're ready.
He does his healing. He does trance healing as well, doesn't he?
He does. That's another area we would touch upon. So
the healing side of it, because it's about
absolutely, absolutely, and also it's been proven through quantum physics, which through the research I become aware of the healing. So we have a great show today with Stephen, and I'm excited again. So I think it's time to let him out of the green room and welcome him to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Welcome to the show. We're live. Okay, Chris, would you like to start with the first question?
Yeah, certainly. Hi, Stephen. What got you into trance? Well, I was going to say trance healing then, because obviously we already spoke, but what got you into trance? I'll just do it back in general.
Well, how did I get into trance? So I got into spiritualism, and I was sort of like 18 years old, and from the platform, mediums were telling me from the platform that I could be a healer and a medium. So the vice president of South Spiritualist Church, he said to me, he was the chief healer at the time, and he said to me, come and be my powerhouse for healing, because in them days, the mediums on the platform were telling me I could be a powerhouse, that my guides generated a lot of power. So, which I later found out they do. And so I would go into the healing sanctuary with him and channel power for him and his guides to give healing to whoever was having healing. And that went on for a little while. And then people were saying, the people that were having the healing were saying that they could feel different sets of hands on them, and they could feel my hands on them, even though I was sitting about 6 foot away. And because mediums were telling me that I could be a medium, I was invited into a circle, Marjorie and Don Jackson's circle. And it was me, Marjorie, Don, and another couple. His name was John, and I forget her name. We'll call her Lynn for easy's sake. And for a few weeks, I just sat there. There was an opening prayer, and it was just sit down, relax yourself as much as possible, clear your mind, and see what spirit give you, and that's what it was. So that went on for a few weeks, and I thought, well, I don't know what's going on there. And the others were sort of saying all these things that I picked up from spirit. And then it started where my body was being moved forwards and backwards from side to side. Now, I wasn't doing this consciously. I just felt like I was just doing it, if you know what I mean. It's a hard feeling to describe, Chris. And this went on for a few weeks. And then all of a sudden one night I'm sitting there and Don Jackson's sitting to my right. And I looked at him and his head disappeared. And there's a Native American head sitting there. Then there was a Victorian lady's head sitting there. Then there was a man's head. Then there's all these different, like throughout history, all these different heads. And I'm thinking, wow. I'm trying to look cool being 18, even though the bum was going like that. Okay. Trying to look cool. And oh, blimey, what's going on? And all of a sudden my breathing started getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And I couldn't stop this deep breathing. And until eventually, consciously, I felt like about that big within myself. Okay. I was conscious within myself like that, feeling like about that big, but I had no control over my body.
That's fascinating. Scary. Yeah. Fascinating.
And then Marjorie, I could hear everything. I was aware of everything that was going on around me, but I had no control over me. And then what happened? Marjorie said, "Have you come in peace?" And he shook my head like that. So I'm there, that big with myself, going, "What's going on, right?" And then she said, "Have you come to give healing?" And he moved my head like that for yes. Now, John, the guy sitting over there, he was a paratrooper, and he used to drive the old tyres with the solid lorries with the solid tyres.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
through all that jumping out of planes and being like that all the time with his work, his spine was crumbling, and he had like a big surgical belt on, and he used to have to go for gold injections, and he was quite unwell. He had great trouble movement and walking, and so she said to me, and this spirit that was coming through, "Who have you come to give healing to?" So I pointed my arm at this John, and I was stood up. It's like being a puppet on a string. I was stood up, and we moved towards him. But as we were moving towards him, my hands come out, and I could see all these colours shooting out of my solar plexus, and my hands were going like that, and I could see all these colours shooting out of my hands. This I later found out was magnetic healing. All right, and after I don't know how long it was, but the colours subsided, and I was moved back and sat back down in the chair. Okay, and then my consciousness gradually, as he stepped back, my consciousness took over. Now, what Marjorie told me was that he had spoken and given his name as Zangu. All right, and Zangu was a Zulu warrior. Okay,
Yeah.
and she told me what Zangu had told her was that he had been waiting to work through me since before I was born.
Wow.
So I didn't sort of like set out to develop trance.
Okay.
It's
I'd like to come
in the sweet shop. I wanted to develop. You know what I mean? But,
part of it, Stephen, was waiting for you to come in before you were born. I've actually heard this in other narrations with channelers in America that this has happened. They were told, "We've been waiting since you were born at the right time, the right place. We've actually been around you for that period of time until it happened." That's amazing. I mean, I've got to ask. I mean, you didn't train. It just happened. How did you feel after the event? I mean,
it was like,
disbelief.
wow, what can I say? I'm trying to remember when I was 18. It was like, wow. And I felt that comment that Zangu told Marjorie that he'd been waiting since before I was born. One, it was wow, but I thought, what the hell's going on with me? I knew by that time I realised I had a purpose in life. And spiritualism was giving me answers to questions. Because before all that, it was all pretty weird, you know. Spirit was giving me answers to questions. But I just thought I wanted to develop that. Like I said, I was like a kiddie in a sweet shop. And I realised that I could be of some use to spirit. And you know, the healing was going on, being a powerhouse, and Zangu had come through, and I just wanted to develop in whichever way possible. You know what I mean?
Sorry, Stephen, can I just ask you there? The mechanics of mediumship, so connecting with the spirit world, obviously we do breathe in this trance still ourselves, and we allow the connection. We raise our vibration. Just to explain that on the mental aspect of being a medium, but what's the difference in that to the trance? Because I just think it's something that people who would be interested in doing trance would want to be aware of the mechanics. You get what I mean? Because the mechanics are completely different from what I understand. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I maybe do it differently to other mediums. Okay, because with trance, the spirit guide or the person who wants to communicate steps very deeply into your aura. And as you know, the aura is your spirit, and it's connected to your body and your brain and your mind. Okay, or shall I say mind brain? Okay, Because to me, what I was told by spirit is the mind is the spiritual level of the brain, the physical brain. Okay, and through that stepping in very deeply into the aura, they then can gain control of your body and your mental function and your voice box. The voice box is another story altogether, Chris. Okay, but with mental mediumship, what I do when I'm demonstrating is I ask for those who wish to communicate, like dads, mums, brothers, sisters, grannies, all the rest of it, granddads. I ask them to step into my aura so I can feel them and sense them and describe them, and that they can talk to me through the mind and then into the brain. But they don't step in nowhere near as deeply. Okay, and it is mental mediumship because they are communicating through the mind, through the brain. I just don't ask them to they don't step in as deeply. Okay, but with trance, they come right in, and you just allow your own consciousness to step back.
So as we said, it's like the ego, your ego, we've all got an ego. Your ego has to step to the side because you have your beliefs, your biases, and everything. It has to sort of go. Does it step aside, or do you feel, as you described it earlier on, your consciousness shrinks slightly?
Yeah, what I was taught, because I eventually landed up being taught by a trance medium in my third circle, and spirit guides would come through each and every one of us. But my first experience of that, a spirit guide called Lee come through the medium's husband, Ian, and he was talking about being selfless in service. And it's not about, like wanting something in return for what you do. It's about removing yourself from the equation.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, whether it's for trance or you're standing on a platform doing a reading or whatever, all your aches, pains, worries, woes, your needs, whatever, go out of the way, because it's to be a clear channel, or what we used to call it in the olden days, a clear vessel for the spirit, to be able to communicate whatever spirit needs to communicate to that person. So you have to remove that self.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, yes, I mean, it's making that distinction because obviously in every field, no matter what it is, and, you can say you're a trance medium or you're a channeler. However, correct me if I'm wrong, I would validate or identify someone as that is what they're actually speaking within the trance itself. How can I explain this? Like I've heard many channelers, when the information and the wisdom they share, they don't tend to use the same linguistics as the identity channeling the vessel, or certain words, terminologies, and in fact, they may know nothing about the topic that's being discussed. Sometimes I've heard the voice box change a different language, and it's to distinguish. You can tell if someone says that they're going through a trance channeling of a higher self or a higher being. You can actually tell, am I correct in this, when it's just the identity of the person channeling themselves, basically. Does that make sense to you? Because, we've got the taboos that it's not true. And so I'm trying to find the distinguished line. How would you define that? When you channel, it's not your philosophy, it's not your linguistics. Am I correct? It's the higher being, the higher dimensional being coming through.
Yeah, it's the higher being spirit guide using my brain at times to pick out words. They're using my voice box. See, this is sort of what I've talked about over the years, is that people expect my voice to change, especially if it's a female coming through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They expect me, pardon the thing, ladies, they expect me to go all squeaky like a lady. All right? But it's still my deep voice. So using my voice box, so it's going to be my voice. It may change in tone.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And my wife said to me, and several other people over the years said to me, "You don't talk like that."
Yeah. I mean, I've
British
identified,
describe, you know what I mean? You're a lot more astute. You know what I mean? What you were saying. Pardon, Chris?
Sorry, do you pick and choose it? Is it your choice? Do you have a choice when you go into trance or not in trance? Do they?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Stephen, I'll work with you today and just step in, or is it all on your control? That's probably what I'm
it's a long story, Chris, and I realise I've got limited time. But back in the day, I'd had that experience with Zangu, but then because I was very open to spirit, I didn't know how to close. Nobody taught me how to open and close to spirit. All right. And Zangu was taking me any old out whenever he felt like it, which was dangerous. You know, I had a girlfriend at the time. You know, she used to jump out of her skin because, you know, one time she'd be talking to me, and then she's talking to a Zulu warrior. All right. I used to on him for healing because people used to come round for healing and that. And the physical presence of the room used to get very, very hot, and there was like a rumble in the room because he's a very powerful guy. And yeah, he would channel healing through me. And so I had no choice in the matter. All right. And I couldn't stop him. All right. And I had an experience whereby, as I was very open to spirit, I was being taken out astrally. This is all in my blog, by the way, try and cut it short. I was being taken out astrally to do rescue work on the lower levels of spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. And that can be just people who don't know they've died. It can be anything. You know, people that are lost or don't know where they are, but it can be some real horrid people as well, even down to demonic levels. Now, unbeknown to me, I was being taken down to real horrible levels. All right.
Okay.
And what would happen is I would come back too hard into what I could. I would see it as a dream. I'll be falling back into my body, but there'd be this very demonic face above me, and I'd wake up screaming and shouting and all the rest of it. Okay. My mum and dad at the time put it down to bad dreams, but it became more frequent. Okay. And at one point, on the other side of the bedroom was like an oak chest of drawers, and one night I woke up and I was kicking it and I smashed the oak drawers up. Now, can you imagine the strength that was in my body at the time to be able to do that? All right, kicking it. My brother, me and him, because we used to share the same bedroom, we outgrew that bedroom. So my dad built an extension onto the bedroom. We had like a partition between the two bedrooms, but the door was always open because we were nicking each other's records and stuff like that. Right? But one night I was thrown physically from my bed into his bedroom, which was about, I don't know, 15 feet. Okay? Another night I woke up being physically suspended above my bed. Okay?
Was this when you learned about the art of protection, which...
Well, I'll come into that, okay? Because what happened was, because spiritual protection is one of my big things, what happened was, this one night, I passed my forklift driving test. So like any young sort of like 19-year-old, I went over to the local pub just across the road and got inebriated. All right? Yeah, I was celebrating. It was rum and coke in them days. But anyway, so I staggered back and I got into bed. But what I didn't know at the time was being drunk. Drink is a depressant, and spiritually it opens you right up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like laying naked in a field full of nymphomaniacs and shouting, "Come and get it." As you know, we all give up a lot. All right? Sorry, I don't talk like...
That's all right, no, that's Stephen, but
yeah. I know, you know, as you know, we all give off a light. So, anyway, I was taken off out. I remember coming back into my body. I can remember the demonic face. Okay. Next to my bed was a cabinet type record player. Remember the old 60s cabinet type record players? I wound up wedged between the bed and the record player, and somebody got hold of my head and pushed my head down like that, and the corner of the record player went up through there. And I got 13 stitches in my face there. I I went to hospital. They couldn't put me out because I was drunk. So these teeth that are not there now, they were wired in. Okay, and I spent 6 months in dental clamps. When we got back home, there's still 2 teeth sticking out of the record player. Okay.
Wow.
So anyway, the next night, with 13 stitches in my face and a big bruise out here, I went along to South Spiritualist Church and nobody said a word. But then Nancy and Ken come up to me and said, "Have you ever heard of Berenice Watts?" Now, she's a trance medium. It's in the days when trance mediums used to regularly demonstrate from the platform. And Olive Tomlinson. But anyway, I'd seen her demonstrate before, and I had an inner knowing that I would work with her. And they said to me, "Have you heard of her?" And I went, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, she runs a discussion group in Ruislip. Would you like to come along?" So I went along with them. I felt a bit daft because I was like 19. The rest of them were old, like 35. You know what I mean? 40. So I felt a bit young and stupid. So I didn't say a word. And afterwards, Nancy and Ken introduced me to Berenice and said, "Look, Steve's got some problems. Can you help him?" Like that. And she took one look at me and said, "It's going to take more than 5 minutes to sort you out." All right. So she invited me over to their house the following week. And I went over there and she explained to me all about opening and closing, about the mind being like a camera, how to protect myself, and the rest of it. And she then invited me into her circle. And it was like jumping from infant school to university. Okay.
Yeah.
And with Zangu, because we'd each take it in turns to go into trance. Okay. And each guide would be given a subject to talk on. Okay, by Berenice. But I was always made to go last. Zangu was always made to go last, so I could practice holding him back. And he had to learn discipline. I was also taught that your guides are responsible for you. Whilst you're in trance, you're giving yourself to them, so they are responsible to look after you while they're using you in trance. Okay, and they look after you. They look after you any other time. When you're astral traveling, they look after you. Okay, and you know, and they replace any physical energy that's been lost whilst you've been in trance. So then, because what I want to explain is there are guides that do need to learn how to work through a physical channel, and Zangu was one of them. You know,
Absolutely.
So I don't think there are guides that are all knowing, because there ain't. No, they are developing with you.
No, I hear you. I've got to ask the question now, because obviously the time just flies. Who is your current guide at the moment, Stephen?
Red Cloud is the main one that does a lot of the speaking, but a new one popped up. I did a trance Saturday, and Grey Wolf popped up. And he gave a speech through me, which I looked back at the video, wrote it all down and posted it all over Facebook, as you do.
Okay.
You know, but
I'd like, I mean, obviously, the guides that come through is we've all got labels and terminologies, and because of we're in the 3D world, we go the hierarchical system, so we say higher dimensional beings. Have you experienced any other dimensional beings apart from even just a glimpse of, as you've been on this journey, this wonderful journey, other than in the human form?
Yeah, a long story. But yes, I have.
But we got to cut it short.
A short, right. One day, because the circle broke up because Berenice and Ian moved down to Crawley, but I used to go and visit. So anyway, sadly, Berenice and Ian divorced. I went down there just to visit, so I knocked on the door. Berenice being Berenice with her caftan, because they all wore caftans in them days, opened the door and she said, "Get in here, we're going to do a meditation." Right, not hello, get in here, we're going to do a meditation. Sat down and she took me through this big, long meditation. Okay, and it was all based on my father, and it was about me coming to earth as I was a spirit coming into the physical. Okay. Yeah. And what happened was the word father was said, and it like vibrated through me, if you can understand. You know what I mean? But as I was coming to earth and into the physical, I could see my parents, because I'm adopted, I could see my natural parents as space aliens or otherworldly beings, as I prefer to call them. And and I was trying to sort of like get back into spirit because they look scary. Okay.
Yeah.
And she said that's why you've always had a thing about your real parents, your natural parents. And
I've got to come in with this question. I can't let this go, obviously. Could you describe your scary parents?
they were like, how could I put it? They were like, I don't know, like about 4.5 foot tall, and they had like this long hair, and they were green, long grey sort of black hair, all right,
Okay.
and they had sort of like green bodies. They were sort of like that. But I could see the eyes. And they had big green eyes, and that was it.
Okay.
Looked like something out of Doctor Who, you know. But,
no, I mean, many may be surprised, but if you go into research within this field, you'll find there are many other dimensional beings and contacts. You need to come outside the box for this. And on the show in the future, we will be bringing in other dimensional beings. However, I must come back to this. And how did you feel on this, through this meditation, to realize, okay, I'm adopted. These were the originals. This is where I'm from. How did you feel? And then did that sort of correlate with the first guide saying, I've been waiting since you were born? Did that, like there was a plan in place? Did that work? Did it sort of merge together for you, the understanding of who you are?
I'd have to think about that quite deeply, but I think that obviously at one point I was in another worldly life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Berenice's teaching was very universal. And we would sort of like meditate on being in other, traveling to other dimensions, levels of spirit, all the rest of it. But it made me know that
you must have questioned everything.
Human experience. Like I must have been in an otherworldly experience. I was coming into the human experience. The way I feel about in correlation to Zangu and what happened with him and the rest of my guides is that, and it's gone completely out of my head, is they were in my soul group, that I was in the same soul group as them.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Like, they obviously were living other worlds, not living in other dimensions, not only as human, but as otherworldly as well.
Otherworldly beings, yes, I'm with you. Christy, you trying to get in there with a question, were you?
Question. If we're spirit within, or we're spirit, if you like, living the human experience, is there a hierarchy between guides, beings, higher dimensional, and ourselves? Or is it the human? Just let me finish that bit. Or is it the human that makes that distinction that there's a hierarchy? Because if we're all oneness, then it should all be. And there should be there should be equality there. I would have thought, but I'm just asking you because I know you do the trance and you get that knowledge.
There is very much a hierarchy of guides, and Berenice taught us very much to be able to work on levels, or dimensions, or spheres, or planes, or you want to call them. I have actually, when a higher guide has come to the circle, or the energy of a higher guide has come to the circle, I've actually got on my knees and bowed.
Yeah.
The more higher you evolve in spirit, the more finer you become in spirit.
Yeah.
And that's the higher, and there's different planes of understanding and knowledge. This is what people have got to realise, is it's about understanding and knowledge and awareness.
Yeah.
You as a spirit being. So the more you rise up higher through levels of consciousness. This is what these dimensions of.
I know it's a different feeling, because when you connect to your higher self or the higher beings, it's a totally from experience of having that a different feeling, isn't it? So it's like a love that you can't explain. I think that's the only way to give it in our understanding. But is there a difference then when you go through the hierarchy, as you say, through the guides, the beings, the angelic, all them labels, different terminologies, but is there a different in feeling as you go through each one? Do you know what I mean? You got your loved ones, But we say that they all come on love, don't we? Love vibration, which it is, it's the light. But is there a difference in feeling? That's
Remember, your loved ones are coming closer to the earth to be able to communicate, so are spirit guides. So they have to adopt more of the earth's vibration. What can I say? There's like, how can I explain? It's like a chain link of guides. You've got the very top ones, and then you've got down to you. All right. Now, what Spirit taught us through Berenice was you've got to be able to communicate to all levels of understanding. See, what I could be explaining something to Chris and he would understand, but you may not, Gloria, and vice versa. So what will happen is those that need something communicated to them of a higher level, that will come from a higher level of spirit. And that will be passed down through that link of guides to you, and then you pass it on. Okay, so say you're giving inspiration or an inspired address. All right, you're linking with you guys to do an inspired address. There are times, all right, there are times when you know it's sort of like Jerome, me Franciscan monk, and he's telling me this and I'm telling you lot. Okay, but sometimes it's coming from a far higher thing, far higher level of spirit, and it's being passed down to you, and you're giving it off.
That raises the question, obviously through life experiences myself and the research, I often hear from others that other dimensional beings are here to assist the human experience, to raise the vibration, to raise the consciousness, to step out into, well, we have labels for everything because that's how we communicate as human beings, into the 5D consciousness or dimension. Personally, yourself, I mean, there's no right or wrong in anything. It's all one consciousness. But personally, yourself, why do you believe, or what do you feel to be your truth, that why these other dimensional beings from the different dimensions and realms are coming through? Is it to assist us to raise the awareness of the oneness, to escalate or oscillate the vibration of us in a collective, or other? What do you think is from your perspective?
From my perspective, as I said, I was trained very universally, and Berenice used to talk to us about the wars that were fought in the universe over this part of our space. All right, which was all sort of like wow to me. But I believe that there are otherworldly beings that are, I shouldn't say I believe, I know, there are otherworldly beings that they've evolved to a certain degree where they've gone through all their wars and all their squabbling, but we haven't, you know. And they seriously want to bring the Earth plane into a much more synchronized with the rest of the universe. Okay, they do want to help us, same as what spirit guides are tasked with, helping us to raise our vibration and our energy, not only individually but as a human collective and consciousness. And I believe those from other worlds are doing that, so they communicate very telepathically, and they can communicate very easily through mediums.
Yes, they can.
And there is a slight difference in vibration and energy when it's otherworldly. You know what I mean? So what you'd say a spirit guide. You've got to be able to discern vibration. Yeah, if you want to be a medium, you've got to be able to discern vibration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be able to interpret vibration and emotions. I know many will disagree. But anyway, sorry, go on, Gloria.
No, that's okay. I've just got all these questions and I'm just looking at the time. So looking at what we spoke about, and I know we've cut you really short because we had a discussion the other day, and I'm happy to say I am fully aware of that you are now starting to write down these experiences, and you've been either directed consciously or subconsciously to write a book. So do you feel in knowing that you are now writing down all the experiences, the transmissions, what you've channeled, and we just basically touched on the higher dimensional beings? I mean, you know, that's an area that me and Chris are exceptionally interested in, and we will be picking up on further shows. So this, you're recording this. Do you feel there is a slight purpose here for you to experience all these experiences and put it into transcript for others to read, to help to guide them to raise their vibration?
When I first started out in the spiritualist church movement, whatever you want to call it, it was all White Eagle and Silver Birch and Zodiac, which was the Christian spiritualist guide, and the teachings of. And we used to lap them teachings up years ago. And, you know, the Sunday service would be packed out, and we used to listen to as much as the mediumship clairvoyance sessions, because we used to love to live, to learn and grow with spirit. And my guides come to me about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and said, we want to get back to the old ways, and we want you, i.e. me, to be able to set up a thing where we can use you in trance, and we want people to ask you questions, and we want you to write them down. Okay.
I'm with you.
Questions and answers, like the Silver Birch books and Zodiac books and the White Eagle books.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I can't get Ursula Ross, but I've actually met her. But
I've heard similar in from other channelers, how very similar conversation they've had with their guides, and now their books are coming out, and it's a way of sharing this knowledge and information. And obviously, there's many pathways to the oneness and to understanding all of this. And you can either go through like yourself or join classes to learn about transmutation. But other ways, a softer, gentler way, is through books. However, through research, I found out, and obviously experientially I'm aware of, that when you read these books, the energy can connect with you as you're reading the book, as if you were there in the presence of another dimensional being. So in your case, do you have any idea when this book will be completed and released, or is it up in the air?
Well, my first book, Messenger, is already out, and it describes basically what I've been talking about, and got a load of my poems. The second book, I'm on page 40. Okay. I'm going to do around 100 pages, but I'll wait for it as it comes.
Absolutely.
I'll get the inspiration. I write about my own different experiences. Spirit-inspired poetry. The last 2 trance sessions I've done, I've put them in the book.
Wonderful.
I got flash. I thought, what spirit inspires in Latin, and it's spiritu inspira, so that's what I'm calling it.
Wow, there we go. So, Chris, I know you're dying for another question, but I've got to get this in. If people are interested in reading your first, well, you know me, reading your first book or finding out more about what you do, your books, your teachings, I know under outside lockdown area, you do you teach trance, but only on a physical contact, not online. Because you deem it dangerous to do online. That's fair play. However, how could people get in contact with you? Do you have some links or where they can obtain your book?
Yeah, my book is obtainable on Amazon. It's Messenger by Stephen Rowlands, and it's got a picture of 2 Venice carnival ladies done up in all their carnival gear, masquerade carnival. I have my Facebook page, what I call my spiritual page, and it's Stephen Rowlands, Healer and Medium, Spirit Divine.
Okay, that's wonderful.
If anybody wants to ask me any questions, they're more than welcome to, because I had help years ago, and I wouldn't know where I would have, God knows what would have happened to me if I hadn't had that help. So I'm just offering that to other people that may need some answers, you know.
That's wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. Chris?
I was just going to ask, obviously doing the trance, is there a time limit on how to do it? Is there a certain training on how to do it? Because obviously I know a lot of people are becoming more aware now, aren't they, in the world of health. And we sort of look at it on the mediumship aspect, more that side of things than the trance side of things now, which is slowly coming back in. I do feel, do you know what I mean, the channeling and the trance. But is it something, because obviously does your health play a part?
No, as I said, they've got to look after you. Spirit have got to look after you. they're using your physical body, so they've got to look after you, you know, and whatever energy, whatever physical effects it has on you. I remember years ago, you see mediums rolling about on a platform going, oh, this person died of an heart attack. They'd be rolling around and they'd feel the pain. Berenice turned around and said, why do you need to feel it? You could just be told about it. Okay?
Yes.
Or if somebody's loved one's coming through me, they can just speak of it. They don't need to give me a heart attack.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
How responsible for you? What I would say to anybody who would, because trance has got very popular again. Whereas, like when I started, it was just a done thing. We used to have transfiguration nights. You'd have trance mediums decorated on the platform. There used to be Olive Tomlinson years ago, who had a French nun that had come forward. She'd walk down the aisle in the church, and there's French and broken English coming out of her, and the messages would be given from the guide to the person. And there was all that going on years ago, but then it sort of all like died a death. But now it's all coming back. And now loads of people are running workshops on it and everybody, anything like that, right? Because people are making money on it, all right? But what I want to say to you, it's a long road and it's a long journey. Be selfless. Whatever you want to do with spirit, be selfless, okay? And just say to spirit, here I am, I want to develop. Please guide me to the right place for me to develop. And spirit will unravel your, spirit will help you, those that guide you will help you to find whatever way you're gifted in to serve. Because a lot of people, they're cut out to be healers and they try to be mediums and vice versa. And it's just going against the grain, if you know what I mean. They waste a lot of time sitting in a circle going, I don't get nothing, because they're trying to go down the wrong route. But just like, when you're coming into this, or even if you've been in it years, you know, just say to spirit, guide me, which is the best way for me to serve. Help me serve my purpose and be open. Because a great friend of mine, Ashley Bill, she explains it like a spiritual puppy, and it's the best description of it I can give you. The spirit are there with a big long table with all these different foods on it. All right. You can say like one cake's clear audience, the other one's clear sentence, or whatever clear you want to put it. The other one's trance, the other one's the more metaphysical stuff, so physical mediumship or whatever. But there's loads of different foods because there's many different levels of consciousness that you can be used as a channel. All right. And so you come up to the table and I say, try a bit of that. And you go, oh, I don't like that. All right, fair enough. You don't like that. And they go, try that. And you go, oh, that's lovely. So then they'll take you down that path. All right. But they're trying things with you all the time. Now, I've been involved in spiritualism for 43 years now, and I'm still developing and learning because it's still an open road. Just be open to which way they wish you to serve. Don't think, oh, I've seen him on YouTube or I've seen him on Facebook Live. I want to be a trance medium because it looks good, whatever. Just say to spirit, I wish to serve. You've got to want to serve first before you do anything else.
I'm with you.
Can I just quickly ask you, from your experience of being in trance, and obviously when you were explained before in your consciousness and obviously yourself, your ego, the fears, and you're about this big, where'd you go? Do you experience?
I do like a little counting down meditation where I walk out of my physical mind, my physical brain, and I walk down some steps into the light and unconditional love of my soul. And I'm in that enlightened place. And I can't describe unconditional love, but it's unconditional love.
Yeah.
Right? What's happened the past couple of times is I'll get somebody to come up and chat to me. And when I've come back and I said, by the way, I was chatting to so-and-so and the person's been able to take them. You know, but
Yeah, I just found that
it depends on their development with their guides.
Can I just jump in before we finish the show? Is obviously a lot of people are asking. There are a lot of healers, many aspects, many pathways in spirituality of healing, and there's going to be many people out there who are already either Reiki healers or whatever pathway they've come through that would be interested in trance healing, as you spoke of in the beginning of the show. So again, once again, they could contact you via Facebook to find out some more. I know I briefly mentioned that you do trance workshops when we're out of lockdown. I'm aware of that. Will you, or have you done, or will you do workshops in the future for the healing aspect? Will you be doing that?
Well, we live in a modern age, and you've got to have qualifications for everything now. I'm old school, and I don't believe you need a certificate to serve. All right, so somebody could come and show. If I was, say, doing a workshop, I don't like workshops because it's something that you can't teach in 4 hours.
No.
And it's something that's got to be week on week on. I'd rather have a circle and go through it weeks and together with spirit with them students.
I'm with you.
I could do little taster workshops and stuff like that, but it's something I'm thinking.
Well, there are questions coming up. We don't normally bring questions into the show on a live show, but there's numerous questions, quite a few coming up. And I've had messages about going into the healing aspect. So not so much in the channeling as in, higher wisdom, other dimensional beings, but looking at the healing. There's many roads to oneness. There's many paths that we can all go in consciousness.
Yeah.
So it was to open the question, if there was anything in the future that you could offer people that were interested in the healing aspect of trance. That's all.
I'm guided by spirit, because when people want to book me for a trance, I ask spirit when they want to do it. So I'm just totally guided by spirit. But yeah, I'll do a trance distance healing via Zoom, and my friend Ashley does control for me, and it's by invitation only. And if they want to come along, all they got to do is sit in the comfort of their own homes and relax as much as they can. Think of a nice day at the beach, whatever they want to do. My guys channel the energy through me. We've had some quite amazing results from that.
Wow. Well, I've got I've got to say we are now running out of time, Stephen. Sorry to interrupt you. We're running out of time to the close of the show. I would just like to reiterate again, anyone that's watched or interested would like more information on trance healing or trance mediumship, please, we will put on the Open Minds page all contact details from Stephen. But please contact Stephen personally. He will respond to your questions. Also, if you have any trouble getting hold of his book, contact Stephen. He will respond to that and direct you in the right direction for that. Stephen, both of us, we've been so excited all week for this show. Thank you so much for sharing your journey today. It's just been amazing. I've learned so much. What about you, Chris?
When's your next demonstration, Stephen?
It's for Eternal Spirit Online, the 9th of March.
Okay.
Wonderful. Yes, guys. And well done, Chris. I forgot. Well done, Chris. One of us remembers. Stephen will be performing live on Eternal Spirit Online. The 9th of March, did you say?
The 9th of March. It's by invitation only, because...
By invitation only, yes.
Controls in place. Like you would, if you come around here, there would be certain controls in place.
Certain controls in place.
You have to pay to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that Kate Green, Andy Ashfielding, and...
Lisa
Aldor. Yeah. Well, I need to tell you, Stephen, I'm already booked in. I'm already booked in. Yes. I'm booked in. So if it's by invitation only, obviously it's up to the discretion of Eternal Spirit Online, who will enter this demonstration. But Kate Green, who's the amazing evidential medium, contact her for anything like that. So, Stephen, once again, thank you so much. And I'm sure in the future we will be pulling you back on the show, especially when your second book is complete and it's out. Do come back onto the show. And for any other stories that you have that happens between now and then, please get in contact with us. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you. Wow, Chris. There we go. What a show.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
Awesome.
Look, I'm speaking in the dialect now. Awesome. Okay. What I'd like to do, because I'd like to put out there, advertise next week's show. Oh my God, I'm just blown away with the stories. Right, now, next week is another amazing, fantastic show. And Chris knows that I am really excited for this one. It doesn't take much for me to get going. And we have the wonderful, amazing Chris Fowler next Saturday. Now, Chris is a rescue medium, and he's also an investigator into the paranormal, from basic hauntings to the poltergeist activity. And he will be joining us next week, sharing his journey and some of his amazing experiences. And once again, Chris, we have been fortunate that we've had a separate conversation, so we know what's coming, don't we?
We certainly do. Yeah, it'll be a good show.
I can't wait.
We all love
I am the love of
a good ghost hunt.
Sorry?
We all love a good ghost hunt.
Sorry?
With the bangs and the good ghost hunt with the bangs and the noises.
Well, it does. I mean, it's not just that side of it. There's a more serious side of it. I mean, also, I'm excited for the stories he's going to come out with the hauntings and the poltergeists, and it's just so diverse. It's wonderful. But also there is a very deep and profound, serious spiritual side, how he came into that. And the whole point of the show is every individual, no matter what path under the umbrella of oneness or spirituality, how you come into that path, and to share that journey. And I know next week's show's going to be amazing. Also, we can reveal, no details yet, we have future shows coming up that are mind-blowing, literally. We are going to expand, we're going to open our mind, expand out into all realms of the paranormal, into the collective consciousness, into remote viewing, into quantum physics, into psychic detectives. We have everything. We'll have something for somebody on the show. So we do look forward to the future shows that we've got coming up. And we're nearly out of time, Chris. So obviously, is there anything that you would like to say? What was the major part of today's show that really got you with Stephen? What part really?
I think it's the experiences, isn't it? Obviously, there's the scary aspect to it, but how he's overcome it as well. You know what I mean? But it was natural. I think the biggest part was it was natural for Stephen to just go into that trance state.
Yeah.
Which makes it fascinating, I think, when it's more natural. But the fact
I think so.
You know what I mean? And I'd like to have a look at his book. He's got on Amazon. So I'll get Stephen to send me the links of everything, and then we'll post that on the page so people can go and check that out. But yeah, fascinating, brilliant.
I mean, for me, it was the part where he was adopted, and to find out who his higher soul parents were, the collective. Yeah. That for me is my area, my favourite area, as you well know. I love going out there. No. I love going out there. You know, it's not taboo anymore. We can discuss this freely in this country without getting shot or, you know, or locked up in the crazy house. So that I found it really interesting. And we never got that in the pre-show talk, did we? This came out today, so it was new for both of us. Yeah. And that was wonderful. I mean, it's a shame we are in a limited time with all of our guests, and they have so many experiences that they could share. It maybe we'll have to sort of bring them back in the future. And sorry?
We'll have a panel show.
Oh, of course, yes, I forgot about that. We're working on the structure of panel shows in the future of very diverse topics. Them shows will go on slightly longer due to having extra guests on the show. But yes, we're working on that too. And I think we're nearly on a countdown, Chris, to the end of the show.
Thank you for joining us today for our viewers. Please go on YouTube as well and subscribe to us. Please follow us on Facebook, Open Minds. Thank you so much to Stephen. A brilliant show today, really interesting and insightful.
Okay.
Go on, Gloria, let's do it.
And it's good night from him.
And it's good night from her. And it's good night.
Bye, everybody. See you next Saturday. Bye.